Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about Education Nation, a traveling summit that looks at how to improve education in America. We'll talk to a former U of A professor who left academia to live in the wilds of New Mexico. And we'll meet Denver-based landscape artist Lolia Roy. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. NBC Education Nation is a traveling event that brings together community leaders to look at a variety of education issues. Education Nation stops in Phoenix this week to consider Arizona's efforts to prepare students for success. Paul Luna joins us now. He's president and CEO of the Helios Foundation, Education Foundation, I should say, which helped bring Education Nation to town. It's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Give me a better definition of Education Nation. What are we talking about here?
Well, what we're talking about is shining a spotlight in Arizona on the issues of education through the lens of a national partner in NBC News, who has been doing this on a national basis, but is really now active in bringing this discussion and this focus on the issues of education to a community and to a state. And the key, I think, is really starting to focus also on what are the really positive things that are happening in education. And Arizona has many activities to celebrate as well.
Is that what you mean when it's described as a solutions-focused conversation?
Without a doubt. I think the key and really what the Education Nation discussion is all about is bringing the voices of community leaders, students, teachers to the forefront to talk about how can we improve education in the system in our state. How do we make sure that we're focusing our students to be college and career ready and competitive in this new global economy? And that's where the solutions come in, because we have some elements in Arizona that are very positive, very collaborative partnerships, but there are challenges as well. And we want to make sure that we're addressing all of those issues.
Recent stops were in Detroit and New Orleans and now in Phoenix. How did Phoenix get NBC Education Nation to stop here?
Well, we had an opportunity. Helios Education Foundation works both in Arizona and Florida with a goal to try to help residents in both states be more successful in college and career. And so we had a chance to participate with Education Nation when it was in Miami last year. And we began conversations and were able to become the lead sponsor to bring Education Nation to Phoenix in order to get this discussion going in Arizona.
Let's talk about what the discussion will emphasize. What are the most pressing challenges and the most pressing opportunities, if you will?
Well, I think what we would say is what's most important to understand is the need to ensure that our students are college and career ready when they're graduating from high school. We're losing too many students as they're coming through the education system. And when we think, or they think, that they've graduated from high school and are capable to move on to post-secondary education success, they're not reaching those education goals. And the key for that is this is the attainment level of success that our students are going to need. The certificate programs, the licensings, the 2-year degrees, the 4-year degrees. Those are the credentials our students are going to need in order to be successful in career and in life. And that's what we need to prepare them for.
Is there a shift, though? Because I remember when I went to college, and I still kind of subscribe to this feeling that I went to college for a well-rounded education and to learn how to, be an adult in many ways, but also to be exposed to many things and kind of take my life in the direction and to be like a lifelong, these sorts of things. It seems like it's very much focused toward career these days. Give me that dynamic.
Well, I think education is still that lifelong learning, and it begins in the earliest ages. So it begins with early care and education. So we describe the education continuum from birth through career and beyond. So I think that's important to understand. But it's also about making sure we're preparing the students for the type of workforce and careers and the skill sets that they're going to need to have to be successful in those careers. So it's also about learning, but it's also about how do they do in a team environment? How collaborative are they? How are they about thinking and problem solving? So it's about making sure that we are, in fact, teaching the students the type of skills they need to be successful. And there is an academic focus to that as well. I mean, the importance of STEM education plays into this, making sure that they understand the concept that they need for the types of jobs we want in our state.
Where does Arizona stand on academic excellence?
Well, depending on who you talk to, there's a number of ways to position that. I think what we like to say is we want to create a world-class education system in Arizona. And in order to do that, we have some improvements to make. And everyone needs to play a part in that. And that's why it's so important to get the student voice and the teacher voice into this dialogue. because it's not about necessarily just measuring where our system is and how our students are doing compared to other states. This is a global economy, and our students are going to be competing with students from around the world. So the key is, how do we create that type of education system that's going to prepare them for that 21st century environment?
You mentioned students and teachers. How do you get parents involved? How best to engage Arizonans in general on education?
Well, and I think that's exactly the point of Education Nation, is to engage all Arizonans around the important topics of education. Parents are clearly an important voice and have an important role in supporting their students through this education continuum. Part of it is educating Arizonans to understand what a world-class education system looks like. What's important? Why is it important for students to have high expectations, to want to pursue high academic achievement, and to find the right type of career path? Okay, because not every career path is the same for every student, but we need to make sure that we have those multiple pathways as well.
In terms of leadership in government agencies, how important is collaboration, and what are we seeing out there in Arizona?
Well, I think from our viewpoint, and in terms of, especially from a Helios perspective, we believe that in order to truly improve our education system, it only happens through collaboration. We need the business community, the governmental entities, the Department of Education and others, and the philanthropic community to all come together, focus on what we need to do to improve education in our state. And that's the only way we're ever going to create the type of systemic change that we want to see.
And real quickly, Helios Education Foundation. Give us a brief definition.
We're an education foundation that serves Arizona and Florida with the primary goal to help students to be successful in post-secondary education.
Very good. Paul, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
In 2009, Guy McPherson left his tenured full professorship at the University of Arizona to live off the grid in a straw bale house in New Mexico. McPherson's life has been made into a film titled Somewhere in New Mexico Before the End of Time, which will debut this weekend in Tucson. Joining us now is Guy McPherson. Good to see you. Joining us, I should say, welcome back. We talked to you back in 2008 when you still were a professor at the U of A. Why'd you leave? Where'd you go?
Well, I went to Somewhere in New Mexico, ergo the name of the film by Mike Sozabay. I left the easy life of a tenured professor after 20 years to the day at the University of Arizona to go back to the land. I left as an act of conscience because the industrial economy is destroying every aspect of the living planet. I didn't want to be part of that anymore, so I walked away.
And we talked about that when you were here last time in 2008.
Right.
I want to get to that in a second, but we keep hearing that you're living, quote-unquote, off the grid. What does that mean?
So we have solar panels that provide our limited electricity. We also have 2 goats. I suspect I'm the only person in the room who milked goats this morning.
Probably.
And we have several chickens and ducks and a goose that lays eggs, and we grow a vast majority of the food we eat, as well as using solar panels to get water out of the ground.
And as far as the house, what's it made of? Heated obviously and cooled with solar energy?
Yeah, it's passive solar heated, and that provides almost all the heat we need just by aligning the south-facing windows and getting the eaves right. So it's mostly passive solar heated. It's a straw bale house, so it's very well insulated. The thermal mass is the floor, which is acid-stained concrete floor. And then it has a very small wood stove in it. So we burn a little bit of wood on the coldest winter nights. No heating, no artificial heat of any kind. We just open the doors and windows. And
so there you are in the wilds, I guess, of New Mexico, correct?
Yeah, it's not far from Silver City. It's about 4,600 feet elevation.
And you did this as an act of conscience. Now, and we've talked back in 2008 about your idea that I think you said at the time that by 2015 the Depression will seem like the good old days. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but you still see a collapse, don't you?
I see two collapses going on simultaneously. I see collapse of the industrial economy and witness events in the European Union, for example. Things are falling apart. Things are falling apart everywhere because oil is very expensive. It's hard to maintain a well-oiled industrial economic machine at $100 oil. And I see a collapse of the environment as well. So we're driving some 200 species a day to extinction. Environmental decline is proceeding apace. We're destroying the air we need to breathe and the water we need to drink, and ratcheting up climate change every single day, so that according to the latest projections, it seems we're headed for human extinction. Hold your breath for this, as early as 2030.
Well, and again, you had mentioned back then, I thought 2015 for a first collapse would seem like it was coming up the pike here, and it's actually getting even closer. But I think critics would listen to this and say, this doesn't seem realistic, that you're obsessed with collapse and that human ingenuity always seems to find a way. How do you respond to that?
Right. So human ingenuity so far has managed to enable us to increase the rate of extinctions every single year, to increase the rate of erosion into the world's oceans every year, to increase the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere every year. So we're going to blow through 400 parts per million carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Last time that happened was somewhere between 3.2 and 5 million years ago, before human beings walked the planet in any form. It's kind of a big deal. Human ingenuity might get us through, and already has gotten us through farther than I thought we would in terms of economic collapse. Mm-hmm. But everything we're doing in terms of ingenuity is making the environmental situation worse. Because we're conquering nature.
Right.
And that has consequences.
But, I mean, how do you avoid conquering nature if you are a human being and you need... I mean, I imagine there's a duck out there that's thinking you're conquering him right now.
Right, exactly. So, in fact, we did live in a reasonably sustainable manner for the first 2 or 2.5 million years of the human experience. It was only with the arisal of the first civilization a few thousand years ago that we went into human population overshoot, that we began to tame nature as if it was ours to tame. And in fact, I had a visit with a primitivist this morning who lives not far from me and who has been living as indigenous people do for the last 34 years of his life. And I suspect he would not view favorably me putting those goats and ducks and chickens in every night.
Yes.
Because he lives literally on the land. He's a hunter-gatherer.
Why, though, back to the idea of adapting, why can't societies adapt? Why can't individuals adapt? Obviously, you've adapted in your own way, but is there a way to adapt where you can still have some progress? Because I think a lot of people think of primitivists, they think of collapsarian, all this kind of doomsday type folks. Doesn't sound like a heck of a lot of fun, doesn't sound like a heck of a good way to live for them.
Right. Right. I absolutely agree that life is easier when you live in a big city and extract all your materials from elsewhere. So think about what happens in Tucson or Phoenix or any major metropolitan area. You extract your water sometimes from as far away as 300 miles across the desert uphill. You extract all your food from elsewhere. You import it in. And what do you return? Garbage and pollution. So with fewer than 5% of the world's population, the United States produces a quarter of the world's pollution, a quarter of the world's carbon dioxide emissions, a quarter of the world's inmate population, and so on. There are consequences for the way we live, and we keep ratcheting up the stakes and losing those species we need to survive, dirtying the water, fouling the air. We need all that stuff. We really do. We don't need smartphones, but we're willing to trade smartphones for a couple hundred species a day. It's a bad trade.
Can we, as a society, recycle more, or to the point where a sustainable, some form, is sustainability even possible as you see things?
At this point, far into human population overshoot, a problem we ratchet up to the tune of about 217,000 people a day. That's births minus deaths. At this point, we are so far into human population overshoot. I strongly suspect the only way out of that is to have happen to us what happens to every other animal that goes into human population overshoot, a decline or a crash.
Right.
Ingenuity is what got us here, is what allowed us to keep kicking the can down the road in the name of progress. progress, always progress. But we can't have infinite growth on a finite planet.
So at 2030, what happens? What do you see happening perhaps as early as 2030?
Well, I'm going to give you a couple of quotations here, so I'm going to read from this. On a planet 4 degrees hotter than baseline, which is about a 1 degree ago, baseline is 1850, or the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. On a planet 4 degrees centigrade hotter than baseline, all we can prepare for is human extinction. That's from an article in The Guardian from 2008, 5 years ago, that provided a synthesis of the climate change literature to that point. So 5 years ago, we knew 4 degrees centigrade hotter was human extinction. According to an informed assessment of BP's Energy Outlook 2030, which came out in January of this year, we'll hit that 4 degree centigrade mark by 2030. So it seems that the last people on the planet will meet their end in about 2030, maybe a little later. And those people won't be living here, by the way, in the Northern Hemisphere. Human habitat will be gone from the Northern Hemisphere 10 or 15 degrees earlier than it will be in the Southern Hemisphere, because there's so much land relative to the amount of water here.
You're talking 17 years here.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I have limited math skills, but I worked that one out.
But me too, and I'm thinking 17 years. I can think of 17 years back, and that's a huge change for the next 17 years.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we've triggered 12 self-reinforcing feedback loops. There's been one assessment of one of those. That's methane release in the Arctic. So the White House recently admitted today, I believe, that all the Arctic ice will be gone within 2 years. Actually, that statement was released today, but the statement was made in June. That's the planet's air conditioner, is the Arctic ice. So somebody has studied scientifically one of those feedback loops, and that's methane release in the Arctic. And their conclusion was loss of all life on Earth by mid-century, and in the Northern Hemisphere by about 2030.
I don't want to go with that. Just a very quick question. Simple response, perhaps. Are you optimistic?
I used to be very optimistic up until the scientific evidence behind these feedback loops just overwhelmed me. So I'm pretty realistic, I think, about the prospects for humans to be sustained into the future.
Guy, it's good to have you here.
It's great to be back.
Yes, it's a disquieting conversation, but it's good to have you here nonetheless.
I'm not depressed, but I'm a carrier, apparently.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Art Beat looks at the landscapes of aspen trees and the spaces between those trees as depicted by Denver-based artist Lilia Roy. And we welcome Lilia Roy to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted. This is great.
Why landscapes? Why aspen trees?
I get that asked a lot. Yeah, I'm aspen obsessed.
Why?
Well, okay, first of all, I thought they were birches. I'm from New England. Okay, black and white trees. Must be a birch. I got corrected really fast. The interesting thing about aspen trees, besides the fact they're beautiful, is that you see a grove, that's a single organism.
Yeah.
When you're walking into a grove, you are actually walking into the heart of a sisterhood of aspen. And to me, that was just so cool that I started spending a lot of time in different groves, noticing how they change from season to season. The paper white that you get in winter, the almost opalescent you get in summer.
Let's go to some of your work here, starting
Sure.
with something Autumn Glory. I think is the first work we're going to look at.
Okay.
Why paint? Why use paint as your chosen medium?
Well, good check. I use acrylic paint mainly because of all the opportunities to push the medium, push the color. So in the painting Autumn Glory,
yes,
what you have is you have paint, you have pastel, you have ink. You have 4 different, maybe 5 different painted papers, each of which has a different texture.
Is this a collage?
Yes.
It is a collage.
It is about a 20-layer collage.
My goodness.
And some of the collage elements are strictly for the color, some are for the texture, some are for both. But by the time I finish layering, it all becomes one surface.
Well, let's look at your process here real quickly. There's the piece called Solstice at Dawn.
Yes.
That's Solstice at Dawn. Thank
Yes.
you. And now take us through what's happening here.
Okay, this is the same painting. All I did was move some of the lights in my studio.
Oh.
So what you're seeing is how the metallics, the iridescence, and the interference paints that are used in here will change. This was a commission piece. Talked to the party that wanted it. It's a large piece. It's 3 feet by 5 feet. They fell in love with a 9-inch by 12-inch painting. That was the other challenge. But I knew that the light in their home was going to come from different sources during the day. It was a big open space. So I wanted to make sure that the painting remained very interesting as the light sources changed.
As we watch the light sources change and the painting itself change and we end up with a final product, how do you know you got the final product? When do you know to stop?
Magic? No.
Well, well, maybe.
It's a hard question, and there are times that I'll finish and then I literally need to leave it alone for several days. And I'll work on one of these pieces probably over a 3 or 4 week period because each of these 20 layers needs to dry before I add the next one.
I'll bet.
And as it dries, it changes. So it's a process of looking at it, changing the lights, looking at it, knowing, in this case, I knew where it was going. I knew the colors around it.
Yeah.
But you kind of, just get to the point where you say, yeah, I'm happy. And that's my first criteria. I have to be happy with the piece. And if I'm not happy, it doesn't go onto a gallery wall.
Let's go back to some of your work here. There's
Sure.
one, I believe it's called River Reflections. And
Yeah.
this is very interesting because it's more of a vertical kind of a thing here. And again, it's representational to a point. How do you know it's representational enough? How do you know perhaps it's too representational?
Tough question. I usually think that things are much more representational than someone who didn't spend 3 weeks doing the painting.
Yeah.
So the River Reflections is actually a memory of sitting on a riverbank, watching the sunset, watching that dance among the rocks and everything else. And then it starts with some very, very different colors. So that painting started with just purples and greens.
Kind of like what we saw with the solstice painting.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
And changes. over-
And then it changes.
Yes.
And then it continues to change. And even as you brought down and scroll down, you can get lost.
Yeah.
And part of what you alluded at the beginning, talking about the spaces. Where does the aspen start? Where does it end? Where does the reflection start? Where does it end? So this is inviting you into that space. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to show you a river. A photographer would do a much better job with that particular scene. I am inviting you into that space. And as you enter that space, you're following that emotion, that feeling I had, that beauty, that hope, that wonderful feeling of seeing the sun, seeing the river, and knowing that it was a wonderful day.
It must be a wonderful sense of accomplishment. Where can we see your work now? What's...
Okay, I'm tomorrow evening, Friday, I'll have an opening at James Ratliff Gallery in Sedona. It's at the Hilltop Center from 5 to 9. I'll be doing a little artist talk at 6 o'clock. But they have about 20 of my paintings. And I invite everyone to come and join my Aspen World.
Well, again, it's wonderful work, and it's good speaking. I love speaking with artists and trying to find out just what exactly they're thinking, and half the time they enjoy talking about what they're thinking.
I always enjoy talking about
It's
it.
good to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted.
Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalists Roundtable. We'll have the latest on the battle over Medicaid expansion, and we'll talk about a bill that would make gold and silver legal tender in Arizona. That's Friday on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.